Within 80 days of being elected to fix FIFA's corruption, Gianni Infantino passed a law giving himself the power to fire the people investigating FIFA for corruption. One of them had just started investigating him personally. That is not a coincidence. That is how this story begins. The man who replaced Blatter was supposed to be different. Sepp Blatter had run FIFA for 17 years. Under his watch, the U.S. Department of Justice indicted 47 individuals on charges of racketeering, wire fraud, and money laundering. 14 executives were arrested at the Bor au Lac Hotel in Zurich in May 2015 while attending a FIFA Congress. The 2018 and 2022 World Cups had been awarded to Russia and Qatar through a process multiple governments described as bribery. Sponsors were leaving. Governments were threatening intervention. The institution was on the edge of collapse. When Infantino won the election in February 2016, he stood before 211 member associations and made a specific promise. The money of FIFA is your money. It is not the money of the FIFA president. He had a manifesto, a 90-day reform plan, a reform committee he had served on himself. And for exactly 80 days, the new era appeared to be real. Then came Mexico City. At the FIFA Congress on May 13, 2016, Infantino stood before the assembled delegates and declared, "I can officially inform you, the crisis is over." Hours later, the same Congress passed a resolution giving Infantino's own ruling council the power to fire the independent ethics and audit leaders. Cornel Borbeli and Hans-Joachim Eckert, the investigators who had sanctioned Blatter and Platini, only found out when the resolution appeared on the Congress screens. They were not consulted. Domenico Scala, the independent audit and compliance chairman who had overseen the entire reform process, resigned the following morning. His statement was precise. This change undermines a central pillar of the good governance of FIFA and destroys a substantial achievement of the reforms. Transparency International called it a serious setback. Only one of 211 member associations voted against it. The crisis, it turned out, was not over. It had simply changed hands. But what makes the timing significant, and what the comment sections of this channel keep circling back to, is the detail that explains everything about why it happened when it did. At the very moment Infantino moved against the Ethics Committee, Borbeli's investigatory chamber had begun examining complaints involving Infantino himself. Specifically, allegations that Infantino and FIFA's General Secretary had sought to influence the election of the president of the Confederation of African Football in favor of their preferred candidate. That candidate, Ahmad Ahmad, later became associated with misuse of funds, including financing a pilgrimage trip to Mecca for African football leaders using money intended for football development. The scrutiny was moving into politically sensitive territory, and at that precise moment, the scrutiny was ended. A year later, at the FIFA Congress in Bahrain in 2017, Borbeli and Eckert's contracts were simply not renewed. Miguel Maduro, who ran FIFA's governance committee, was fired after testifying before the British House of Commons that Infantino had tried to influence his committee's decision on a separate political matter. By the end of Infantino's second year in office, the entire independent oversight architecture that governments and sponsors had demanded after the Blatter scandal, the investigators, the ethics judges, the audit chairman, the governance committee head, was gone. Every single one. And the question nobody inside FIFA was left with the power to answer: who investigates FIFA now that the investigators are gone? The answer Infantino built was nothing. What replaced independent oversight was political loyalty sustained by financial distribution. He had campaigned in 1916 on a promise to give $5 million to every member association over 4 years. He delivered. He then increased it. By 2026, FIFA was distributing more money to member associations than at any point in its history, funded by $12 billion generated by the 2026 World Cup alone. The associations receiving this funding, primarily in Africa, Asia, and the Pacific, became Infantino's political base. They re-elected him unopposed in 1919, unopposed again in 2023, When the candidate declaration deadline arrived in November 2022, not a single person filed against him. The same ethics structure he had weakened found nothing worth investigating. The same member associations he funded voted him in by acclamation. A watchdog is not independent when the people being watched control its appointment. A president cannot be held accountable when the people deciding his future need his signature on their next development grant. But the financial architecture was only the visible half of the system. The Swiss criminal investigation is the half that has never been fully reported. In 2017, it emerged that Infantino had held 3 secret meetings with Michael Lauber, Switzerland's Attorney General, while Lauber's office was simultaneously running a criminal investigation into FIFA. The meetings were undocumented, no minutes were taken, no records were kept. Lauber was later found by a Swiss oversight panel to have shown special interest in the FIFA case and was effectively removed from his role. The Swiss Federal Criminal Court opened proceedings examining Infantino's conduct in connection with those meetings. Those proceedings have been running for 9 years. They were running when Infantino gave Trump the FIFA Peace Prize in December 2025. They were running when he answered Trump's phone call about Balogun's red card in June 2026. They were running when he flew to Morocco for crisis talks last week. They are running right now. And the ethics committee that would have the mandate to investigate the FIFA president has been restructured to the point where that investigation cannot happen internally. Infantino removed the tools before he needed them removed. But understanding how those 3 secret meetings connect to the congressional investigation that exists today requires one more piece, the one most people missed while watching the World Cup. A human rights group called Fair Square filed a formal complaint with FIFA's Ethics Committee in December 2025, accusing Infantino of repeated breaches of the governing body's code on political neutrality. The complaint listed his attendance at Trump's inauguration, his private jet trips to the White House, his presence alongside Trump in Saudi Arabia and Qatar on a Middle East tour that caused him to arrive 2 hours late to FIFA's own annual Congress while UEFA delegates walked out in protest, and the FIFA Peace Prize awarded to Trump inside the Kennedy Center weeks after Trump publicly complained about missing the Nobel Peace Prize. FIFA's Ethics Committee, the restructured one, the weakened one, the one whose independent investigators were removed a decade ago, has not announced any findings. The complaint was filed 8 months ago. The congressional investigation that Congressman Jamie Raskin launched in July 2026 with an August 9th deadline for document production is now the most significant external accountability mechanism pointed at Infantino and FIFA simultaneously. That deadline is tomorrow. And the organization facing it is the same organization whose ethics investigators were removed in Infantino's first year, whose audit chairman resigned in protest in his first 80 days, whose Secretary General this week called his decisions a sad and reproachable series of events, and whose COO told the entire staff they had been deceived. FIFA did not get a reformer in 2016. It got a politician who understood exactly how to make himself impossible to remove. He dismantled the tools that could have stopped him before they were used against him. He built a financial system that made accountability expensive for the associations most dependent on his generosity. He aligned himself with the most powerful government on earth and extracted favors that no previous FIFA president had attempted. And when the entire football world finally turned against him in the summer of 2026, he flew to Morocco, held 7 hours of talks, and emerged with a statement of full support from the same man whose internal email calling his decisions sad and reproachable had been leaked to Sky News days earlier. 10 years, 3 unopposed elections, every investigator gone, every watchdog neutered, every critic told to meditate or pray. That is what FIFA got instead of reform. That is what Infantino built instead of transparency. Subscribe. The August 9th deadline is coming up, and this channel covers every word of what FIFA produces or refuses to produce.